Hi, this is Cindy.
Hi, this is Tony.
For our final project, we made an activity suggestions app that gives users recommendations about things to do depending on the number of participants desired.
We used an API called Board Activity to get data about activities, including their name, type of activity, accessibility, and price. We also used Glide, an image loading and caching library for Android, to load in images relevant to the activities in our app. Let's demonstrate our application. Clicking the Get Suggestion button, we get information as well as a corresponding image about a random activity. This activity is for one participant.
So as you can see, for one participant, the activity is make a scrapbook with pictures of your favorite memories. The type is a DIY and it's very accessible and it's very inexpensive. We can also change the number of participants to get activities that are more to our liking. So here's an activity for 2 people. Catch up with a friend over a lunch date. It's very social and it's very accessible, also very inexpensive. Now, an activity for 3 people. Have a picnic with some friends. Very recreational, very accessible, and it's also very inexpensive. And then finally, for 4 people. Having a bonfire with your close friends. Recreational, accessible, and inexpensive. That's all for demonstration of our app. As for who worked on what parts of our app, Tony came up with the idea of what to do for our application and mainly worked on the API and helped with loading in images. I worked mainly on the user interface and using Glide to load in images.
With regards to the problems that we encountered, we had the most difficulty with the image part. We originally planned to use a second API to get images depending on the activity name, but we couldn't find one that consistently returned an image when we sent information about the activity. We even decided to parse some of the activity suggestion string so that the API would return an image, but that didn't work to the extent that we wanted. We finally decided to use Glide to get images from Pixabay, a website with royalty-free stock images.
In addition, the board activity API that we use was also limited. Though it supports over 100 activities, it isn't uniformly distributed. There is a considerable difference between the number of activity suggestions for one participant compared to 2, 3, and 4 participants. At the start, there was also a chance that our GET request would return the same activity in the same picture. After some thinking, we found out a way to make the GET suggestion call return a different activity every time. So there's also another page that we added. This is our info page, just kind of talking more about who we are and the API that we use in the library, and then kind of brief explanation of our app. And we also added in sound effects. So you can see when I press get suggestion, it kind of makes a little sound. And then the info button also makes a sound. And this is our GitHub repository. This is the image kind of resource that we use because we weren't able to figure out how to use the API.
This is our main activity. We made an on-click listener for our Get Suggestion button so that whenever it was clicked, it would request information from the API. If we got information, our program would run the API called done method. And then this would change the text of the screen to that of information that we got from the API. And it would also check if the search was similar to the previous search. If it was similar, then we would just call the suggestion again.
This was how we added in the images. Even though we weren't able to implement an image API, we just basically found what the activity was and then added the URL from Pixabay. And so we did this a lot of times. And yeah, thanks for viewing our app.